Every single year, a country's Finance Act comes along and basically reshapes the whole economic landscape. So today, we're going to break down Sierra Leone's new Finance Act for 2026 and see exactly what's changing for you, for businesses, and for the economy as a whole. Let's get right into it. But first, just a quick and really important note. What you're about to see is an AI-powered summary we've put together at SWA Chronicle. The goal is to make this pretty dense document a lot easier to understand. We've done our best to be accurate, but remember, it is a summary. So what even is a Finance Act? Well, you can think of it as the government's playbook for the economy. It's the law that gives them the power to collect taxes, and it rolls out all the new financial rules for the year. This document right here is the legal foundation for pretty much the entire economic plan for 2026. Okay, to get our heads around this whole thing, we've broken it down into 5 key areas. We're going to start with what's changing at the border. Then we'll look at new taxes on stuff we use every day. After that, we'll unpack the new rules for companies, explore the big push towards a green and digital future, and finally, we'll cover all the updates to various fees and permits. All right, first up, changes at the border. This is all about customs tariffs, the taxes you have to pay on goods that are being imported into the country. The act basically lays out a whole new schedule of tax rates for anything coming in. And these tariffs are a really powerful tool. The government can use them to protect local industries from foreign competition, or they can use them to make essential goods cheaper. So let's see what the priorities are here. This slide tells a really fascinating story about the government's priorities. On one side, you've got a hefty 35% tariff on things like imported ketchup, eggs, and bottled water. That's a really clear signal that they want to encourage local production. But then look at the other side, 0% tariffs on LPG cylinders, solar panels, and clean cooking stoves. It's a powerful signal of a strategic push towards cleaner energy. Okay, now let's move from the border to inside the country. We're talking about excise taxes now. These are special taxes on specific goods that are produced and sold within Sierra Leone. And this is where a lot of us are going to feel the most direct hit to our wallets. First up is a big one, a brand new excise tax of 10 leones on every single 50-kilogram bag of cement. You can bet this will almost certainly drive up the cost of construction across the board, from building a new house all the way to major infrastructure projects. And now for what might just be the biggest change of all, fuel taxes. The act completely revises the excise rates for all petroleum products. This is a change that will affect, literally everyone, from drivers to businesses that have to rely on generators. So let's break it down. For petrol, the new excise tax is now set at 5 leones per liter. That's a cost that's going to be felt at every single pump. And for fuel oil, which powers so much of the country's industrial machinery and electricity generation, the tax is even higher, 7 leones and 40 cents per liter. Okay, so we've seen the impact on consumers. Now let's pivot to our third section, the new rules hitting businesses. And this covers both their taxes and how they have to report everything. This chart paints a pretty clear picture. Taxes for businesses are going up. Corporate income tax for companies based here is rising from 25% to 30%, and withholding taxes are climbing too. The tax on rent payments jumps from 10 to 15%, and the tax on dividends paid out to shareholders is going from 15 to 20%. The act also gets really specific about something called transfer pricing. Now, before we get into the new rules, what is it? I know, it sounds a little complicated, but it's basically about making sure huge multinational companies charge fair prices when they sell things between their own internal divisions in different countries. It's to stop them from sneakily shifting profits to countries with lower taxes. So, the government is really tightening the screws here. Companies now have these super strict deadlines for submitting 3 different, very detailed reports. And if they fail to do it, the penalty is a steep 3% of the value of the transactions. This is all about boosting transparency and, of course, tax revenue. All right, let's move on to our 4th section, which is all about shaping the future, the green and digital economy. This is where we see a really interesting mix of incentives on one hand and brand new taxes designed for the modern world on the other. We actually touched on this earlier, but this slide pulls all those green incentives together in one place. We have the 0% customs tariffs we already saw, but the act also makes the supply of renewable energy from mini-grids and clean cooking equipment zero-rated for GST. It's a really clear, multi-pronged strategy to push a shift to cleaner energy. Now, for the digital side of things, for the first time, the Act introduces a formal definition for a digital marketplace. Now, this is a huge step because you can't really tax what you haven't defined. It officially recognizes all those online platforms that connect buyers and sellers as part of the formal economy. And this is the big change that follows from that definition. For the first time ever, the Goods and Services Tax, or GST, is going to be applied to digital services. This means that those big international companies selling streaming subscriptions, software, or other digital stuff to people in Sierra Leone now have to pay tax here. It really levels the playing field for local businesses. And for our final section, we're diving into the wide world of administrative changes. This is all about the fees, the levies, and the permit costs that are also getting updated across different government departments. One of the most direct changes is a new annual circulation permit levy. What this means is every single car, truck, or bus owner will now have to pay an extra 500 leones a year. For motorbike owners, it's 200 leones. And for folks with large vessels, it's a new levy of $1,000. This is a new direct cost for pretty much every vehicle owner in the country. So let's try and bring this all together. What are the major takeaways from the Finance Act 2026? Well, we're definitely seeing higher costs on a lot of imported goods and a big hike in fuel taxes. For businesses, they're facing higher income tax rates and much stricter rules, especially the multinationals. But on the flip side, there are some very strong, very clear incentives for a green transition. And finally, the digital world is officially being brought into the tax system. You know, all of this raises a massive question. The Act is clearly trying to increase government revenue while also steering the economy in a new direction. But with all these huge changes, what's going to be the true cost and the real benefit for the average person and for the country's growth in the long run? That's a question only time can really answer. Look, to be 100% accurate and to get every single detail, we really encourage you to read the original Finance Act itself. For more explainers that break down complex topics just like this one, come visit us at youtube.com/SeaWitchChronicle.